Be alert, American, thumbs up, good. Hello explorers, Cuted Explorer here, and today I am here to give you the things you need to know about Italy, the Rome edition, because there are so many places that you need to see in Italy. Oh my gosh, so many places. Like Italy is a place that I want to go back to because there's just so many places to visit there and see. So we're going to do things you need to know about Italy, Rome edition. And I have 8 different things I'm going to tell you that you need to know before you go. And then next week we'll talk about Venice. So let's get into it. But first, make sure, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button down below and a notification bell right next to it so you'll be notified when all of my videos are released. Videos are released on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And on my channel, I talk about all things travel, photography, and a little bit about the environment. It's free, so why don't you just go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Now let's get into today's video. Sorry for the interruption, but before I forget, if you're interested in getting my Italy itinerary so you can start planning your trip to Italy, you can visit kitedexplorer.com, which I'll have linked down below, to purchase my itinerary for only $2. As always, I have a local drink that I brought back to the US from that country. I have this in limoncello and another bottle of wine. So I'm actually gonna open this. I did try this in Tuscany and bought it, and you can watch my Tuscany video linked up above. But I'm gonna be sipping on this as I talk through the things you need to know about Rome today. And let me open it up. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is money. You need to know about money, right? If you're coming from the US, it wasn't really like expensive. It was kind of like normal, same pricing, but they do use the euro. So make sure if you want to use cash, you get money out of an ATM, a bank, or you take money, exchange it, get money before you go. If you want to use cash, because they do use euros, but credit cards were widely accepted while in Italy and in Rome. Hey explorers, have you signed up for my mailing list yet? If not, head on over to kitedexplorer.com/subscribe and get on my mailing list and see what's going on my website, because I have some information that will soon be released and you need to be on the mailing list to get it. Did you know I'm a photographer and I take photos as I travel around the globe? You can head on over to kitedexplorer.darkroom.tech and find photos that I have taken from places like in Turkey, Atlanta, South Africa, and my most recent trip to Italy. You can purchase it on paper or canvas just to liven up your space, just as I did of this photo from Atlanta. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. So let's talk about getting around Rome, the transit. So you can definitely walk around Rome. It can be far distances depending on where you stay to get from place to place, but I did walk my first day from the hotel to Colosseum to the Apple store into my hotel, and it was very easy to get around, but it could be long at some points. Another way to get around is that they do have public transit. They have buses, they have the metro, like their underground or their subway, and they have a tram. I never did take the public transit because I took another option, which I'll talk about shortly, but it is going to be cheaper to take that. But it's not always effective. If you're planning to go somewhere that is not maybe a major tourist attraction, it may or may not go there. So you definitely need to check out the map and make sure you know where you need to go. For me, my hotel, the Rome Flora Grand Marriott, did have a metro station right outside of it. So that was convenient if you plan on staying there. Another thing you can take is taxis. You can see a lot of taxis sitting outside of the tourist attractions, but you have to be cautious because they are taxis. They can charge more than what you may be expected to pay. So if you do plan on taking a taxi, make sure you ask before you get into the taxi how much it is expected for you to pay, so you're not cheated before or when you get to your destination. The last thing is ride sharing. So they do have Uber in Rome. But it usually, at least in my experience, it was the more expensive cars that would come up. But they have their own ride sharing app, which is called Free Now. Free Now is what I use for the most part as getting around, and it is actually very cheap. I usually didn't pay more than €9 to get anywhere. So it's definitely more competitive and cheaper than Uber, and drivers usually came immediately. I was always able to find someone to pick me up wherever I was and take me where I needed to go.
Another way to get around Italy is by car. You can rent a car in Italy if you are a tourist. But I did not look into it because I don't like driving at home, so I definitely don't like driving in another country. So I did find a blog post from AnnaEverywhere.com where she talks about all the different things you need to know before renting a car in Italy, and it was last updated in July of 2021. One of the things I thought was interesting is to make sure you book your car rental if you're coming from the US in the US because it will be cheaper than booking on site in Italy. So definitely research your options if you want to drive around Italy yourself. Make sure you have the proper permits for driving in Italy, as well as insurance.
The next topic is pickpocketing. So I heard all about this in a lot of European cities, and luckily I have not experienced that yet, but make sure you are beware of pickpockets, especially around the major tourist attractions like the Colosseum or the Vatican and stuff like that, because there's going to be big crowds of people. And when there's a lot of people grouped together, that's when a pickpocketed situation could happen. Also, there could be people who try to pull you aside to have a discussion about something. Maybe they want to show you a pamphlet. Maybe they want to take a survey or something like that, or ask to use your phone or something. And that could happen as well, where a pickpocket could happen in that situation. So if you want to make sure you avoid that, make sure you have a bag with anti-theft locks, or make sure you have your bag in front of you, or you have your bag where you can carry it and you're holding it as the opening point. Also, don't mess with people. Make sure you have that face like, don't mess with me today. Don't listen to those different discussions. Don't stop and talk to people about surveys or random things of that nature, because you just don't know what may happen. So be cautious, be alert, and make sure you don't get pickpocketed when you're out seeing a tourist attraction. But one thing to note about that, it is the Rona time. If you are traveling in recent times, you should be practicing physical distance anyway. So that's a whole other reason why you shouldn't be getting close to people, and that shouldn't happen with pickpocketing. Another thing to be concerned about is the high season. The high season means when a lot of people travel to that destination. So for Rome, the high season lasts from May to September. Now, obviously in 2021, it was a little bit different. I did go in August. There was more tourists, I guess, in recent times during the, health situation, but it still wasn't at full capacity. There was a lot of walking space in the Vatican. There was a lot of walking space in the Colosseum. I could take a nice photo at the Spanish Steps, and there wasn't throngs of people there. But in typical years, or when travel picks back up, high season is from May to September, which is like summertime, when people are out of school, when there's vacations and holidays and that type of stuff going on. So make sure you avoid the high season and go at other times if you don't want to be around a lot of people. Now, I must tell you, I did experience this. Make sure you are prepared to go when it's not so hot outside. I went in August and it was really hot. They had a heat wave. In 2021, it was definitely heat waves and droughts all over the northern hemisphere, but it was terrible. 100 degrees Fahrenheit twice. Just clothes were just sticking to you, and then you had to wear a mask. Oh, it was really hot. So their hot times of the year is July and August. So if you want to avoid those hot times, make sure you go before or after July and August to avoid melting away. Now, if you do plan on to walk around and explore Rome, they do have kind of some hilly streets and cobblestone. So make sure you wear comfortable shoes so your feet don't feel like they need to be chopped off at the end of the day, or a massage, or you just can't walk anymore. Now, what about safety for female and Black Americans? And I know some people complained about this once before, but there is a reason, and you can check it out in this video here. But it is definitely crucial to be concerned about the safety for a female, because there's a lot of places in this world that is unacceptable to females, or they may have different standards of how to treat women in this world. Same for Black people. Black people can be treated as minorities and treated disrespectfully. And I have heard stories of where tourists of Black Americans, or whoever you are of African descent, are treated in a disrespectful manner. And so it's good to know about different hands-on accounts. Now, I must say, you always should experience a place for yourself, because what I may experience may be different than what you experience, right? But it's still nice to know what happened to other people so you can have your radar up and know what could or could not happen. So as for a female, I definitely felt safe. Like I said, I did walk to places, I took ride sharing, I even took the train, and I got back into Rome from Venice really late. And I never felt threatened as a female, never had any safety issue. I didn't go out at night as much, but I tend to not do that when I travel because of safety protocols. But the times I was out at night, I actually went to a restaurant one evening away from the hotel, and I walked there, and I didn't have any issues. So it definitely was safe for a female, at least in like my experience. As a Black American, or a Black person, or a person from the African descent, I did not have any issues. No one didn't stare at me. I have read articles, or I've seen people actually recently in a Facebook group complaining or stating that they didn't have a great experience in Rome because people were staring at them, or they just didn't feel connected with the culture. And I definitely think that you have to change your perspective. If you're from the US, we usually tend to acknowledge people when we walk by each other, even though we may or may not speak, we always acknowledge. They don't have that same acknowledgement, at least in my experience in Rome. And I didn't have stares. And I was like really prepared for that, because I kept seeing people say that, and no one was staring at me like I didn't belong. Like, it was just an average day for me, at least. So I didn't have that experience. No one treated me disrespectfully. You know, people talked to me, you know, had conversations, and I didn't have any problems in that perspective. So safety as a female, safety as an African American, thumbs up, good, no problems, at least in my world, in my experience. So let's talk about the Rona. You must know, and you should know, things with the Rona changes frequently. So you definitely have to look up what's happening in Italy before you go, because the rules may change. And actually, since I have went to Rome, or to Italy, and came back, the rules changed, okay? So first, I'm gonna tell you about my experience, okay? My experience. I'm gonna put this at the bottom, my experience, so you don't think that's what we have to do now. But when I went in August 2021, they actually had just started their rule of showing the green pass, or AKA your vaccination card, to get into places like your tourist attractions or restaurants or taking the train. So I showed my vaccination card frequently. And you know, in the US, being a US citizen or resident, or if you got your vaccine in the US, you don't have a green pass, at least not right now. They are working on trying to get tourists in that system, from what I've read. But your white CDC vaccination card does work, and you can show it to get into places in Italy. I did not have to quarantine, and I did not have to take a COVID test to go. I did have to fill out a PLF form, or a passenger locator form, before I departed from the US to head to Italy. That PLF form and my vaccination card was checked at the airport before I boarded my Air France flight from JFK to Rome, Italy. So those were the things I had to do in August 2021. But now, after I went, the rules have changed. So in order to avoid isolation for 5 days, you must have the PLF form filled out and a negative COVID test within 72 hours, as well as a vaccination from like Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson. If you don't have the vaccination, you will still have to quarantine for 5 days. And I'll have the link down below to Italy's website so you can go there and see the rules based on where you're coming from and what you have to do, because it varies depending on where you're departing from and entering into Italy from. So I hope you enjoyed these things you need to know about Italy, the Rome edition. And definitely make sure, if you're traveling, make sure you have travel insurance. And I will link the website down below to where I go and buy my travel insurance from, because you get sick while you're in Italy, you're gonna need care, especially if you get sick with COVID related or just sick period, or you get injured or something like that. It's definitely important to have travel insurance. So that will be linked down below as well. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, leave that down below. I'll be glad to answer your questions. And make sure you subscribe and have that notification bell hit. And make sure you share this video with your friends, family, and social media networks. And like always, make sure you check up on the recent rules and regulations for the Rona COVID-19 and entering and returning to your home countries. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day or night wherever in the world you are. Cheers.